After the tragedy and grief, now the anger. Days after Greece's deadliest train crash, protesters clashed with police outside Parliament in Athens. The violence has been small, unlike the demonstrations themselves, which have been constant since the crash and taken place across the nation, including here in Thessaloniki, as people demand answers for the dead. The banners read "criminals" or simply "rage." That's because these people, these daily protests are about the safety of the railways and the government that allowed it. And many demonstrating are students, because so many of those who died were students.
Most of all, we feel rage that this could happen in 2023, how two trains can collide. To be dealing with such an event when there is so much technology that exists.
We will be the voice of all those that were lost, so that no crime is covered up, and so that someone takes responsibility.
It was on Tuesday before midnight that a passenger train crashed into a freight carrier in northern Greece. At least 57 people died, but rescuers continue to go through the debris even today. The force of the crash and the fire made identifying the dead incredibly difficult. Police said 54 bodies had been identified so far, all mainly from DNA tests of relatives, with some still awaiting news.
At 10:50 he texted me, "Dad, I'm going to be late. I'll call you. Don't come early." And I'm still waiting for his call.
The question is, how could this happen on Greece's busiest train route between its two biggest cities? The government blamed human error, and the transport minister has already resigned. But the anger continues. Audio released early this week revealed that a train station manager told the train driver to ignore a red light. That individual was arrested on manslaughter charges and is due in court. But for the people, this is beyond individuals, but about the whole system. On Wednesday, protesters gathered outside the train operators' headquarters. People are angry at poor safety and the neglect of the railways by successive governments. There were train strikes on Thursday and this weekend. Workers argue that lighting and traffic controls don't work because of a complete inaction in implementing a new modern system. One government minister this week said the country's financial crisis had caused a lack of investment. The administration said an independent committee would investigate the crash.
The investigation will take place in a way that will be transparent and absolutely thorough. That's the order of the Prime Minister. And so today, an ad hoc committee of experts will be set up to study the systemic causes that led to this tragedy we are living through, the abnormalities, the passivity that existed over time, if they existed.
As answers are demanded and justice awaits, away from the anger and the protests, the mourning begins. The first funeral of one of the victims on Friday, 34-year-old Athena Katsara, mother to a baby boy, her husband unable to attend as he was still in hospital, injured. As they grieve, the people of Greece wonder why it must take such tragedy for their voices to be heard and for change to hopefully come.
A little earlier, I spoke to journalist Alex Litsadakis of the Documento newspaper, who's in Thessaloniki. I began by asking him more about the collision.
First of all, we need to say that after the accident, the Minister of Transportation resigned and the Prime Minister said that it was a personal mistake, meaning that the manager on the train station of Larissa misunderstood and let the train go to the same direction as the other one. However, serious safety issues and malpractices in the Greek railways made the European prosecutors to start a preliminary criminal investigation in November of 2022. That being said, the tracking and safety system needed an upgrade for which the Greek state agreed and bought it back in 2014. Between the companies involved and the Greek state never made it possible for the update to be ready and active. Basically, all the trains in Greece that are moving right now are going manually. There is no system tracking. There is not an electronic system that checks where every train is. There is nothing that can prevent a human mistake. So a train manager informs another train manager in the next station that the train is coming. There is no way to understand that maybe two trains are going on the same direction.
There has been a previous attempt to introduce automation into the system, hasn't there?
Yeah, there has. The system was bought back in 2000 for the Olympics, for the Olympic Games in Greece. And there was also problems back in the past. I mean, you can imagine that all this thing never happened before just by coincidence. Imagine that a similar accident was prevented on October. It was a driver that understood that he was on a wrong track, on a wrong route, and he was heading to an accident. He was about to meet another train. She informed the manager, and the manager changed the keys in the railway and forced it into a derailment to prevent the accident. So we had the derailment, a forced derailment, so that we don't have an accident like that. And nothing happened after October, at least in Greece, because in the European Union, they started a preliminary investigation about the issue and about the European money that are heading to Greece to fix its railways.
And quite understandably, a lot of people are very angry and upset about this. What's happening at the protests?
After the incident happened on Tuesday. On Wednesday, protests started in Thessaloniki first, and after Wednesday and Friday in Athens too. Yesterday, there were over 5,000 people here in Thessaloniki demonstrating, and reporting on Thessaloniki because the train was coming from Athens to Thessaloniki, carrying a lot of students, a lot of people that were coming back after the holidays.
Will anything change as a result of the tragedy of this crash and the deaths?
I don't think that anything is changing. I mean, we just have a resignation from the minister saying that he takes the responsibility for the political system that didn't do anything all these years to fix this issue so that we don't move manually in 2023. The Greek government says that this is a human mistake and we did nothing wrong. People, the families of those lost in this tragedy are saying that mistakes happen and we all do mistakes. They don't feel like this accident is mainly to blame the manager in Larissa station, but the responsibilities and the people that should be accountable for are even more, and he has to do more with the state rather than the manager.
Alex Litzidakis, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for reporting on this issue.